Angel, can you lower those lights that are in my eyes?
Yeah.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is John Laney. I am the current president of the KCA Community Association. Thank you very much for coming tonight. Thank you for being an active participant in South Maui. You know, if you're here and you don't know what KCA is, it's the KCA Community Association, and we are a nonprofit, all volunteer, unfunded community advocacy group. And our basic mission is to help shape a better South Maui. So that's what you're here to help us do, and that's what we work on. So if you're not a member, please sign up. Your first year is $15, and you get a free ticket to Pro Arts. What kind of a good deal is that, right? And if you're already a member, please talk to a neighbor, because so many people do not know that KCA exists and what we're working on. And then tonight our host is Pro Arts. Here you are, Pro Arts. And check out their menu of upcoming shows and all of that kind of thing. We want to support them, and they have really great programs here. I need to tell you about the board nomination committee. It's in our bylaws. So what it means is at the next meeting in September, we need to have a board nomination committee, and they're going to nominate people for the board. If you are interested in being on the board of KCA, that's great. And what we request is that you first join a committee. Join one of our committees. They meet regularly, and find out what it is that we do, take on a small project, see how we work, and see if it's a good fit for you. But we are happy to have more community activists join us in getting the work done that we're focused on. Right? We are meeting with politicians to talk about more roads and smart development, affordable housing, wetlands protection, all kinds of things to make South Maui, the best possible place to live and work. All right, and I think that's it for my announcements. So now I want to talk to you. Yeah.
Do you have a list of the board positions that are available?
Yeah. So our committees, you can check them out. They're on our website. So if you want to know what committees there are, and you can also talk to one of the board members tonight. You can talk to me after the meeting. We're happy to discuss that. Thank you. All right, so we are about to have two presenters talk to you about the South Maui Community Plan. And without stealing their thunder, the South Maui Community Plan is a whole big thing. It is a really big thing for South Maui. And every 10 years, they're supposed to update the South Maui Community Plan. And we're working off of a community plan that is over 20 years old, right? So there's this whole process. The planning department for the county worked with the South Maui Advisory Committee to create the South Maui Community Plan. They met in public meetings for a year to form the plan, to get input, to hear from the community. They got over 200 suggestions from the community on what they wanted in the plan. They adopted many of those suggestions into the plan. It's truly a community plan. The South Maui Community Plan was created by our community. However, that's just the first step. The second step was to have the Maui Planning Commission review the South Maui Community Plan and suggest changes as needed, right? Now, that's where we started to run into problems because the Maui Planning Commission changed some significant things in the community plan, where we had things like new roads are required to be built with new development. They changed it to new roads are encouraged to be built with new development. And they did a bunch of other tricky things as well, right? So we're going to talk about that because the third phase is to have the county council approve the South Maui Community Plan. That process is going to be happening over the next 3-4 months, right? So there's going to be meetings that the county council is going to have about what's in the South Maui Community Plan, and we are encouraging them and will be encouraging them, and we will ask for your help in encouraging them to add back in some of the protections that the original plan had. So what we're talking about tonight is important for the future of South Maui, and we have two experts that are going to talk with you tonight, and Rob and Daniel, if you want to come up, please. So Rob Weltman, who is the vice president of KCA, was the chair of the South Maui Advisory Committee creating the plan. And so his wealth of knowledge, and it's just amazing. He's really an expert at this. And then Daniel Kanahale was the vice chair. So these two really helped put that plan together for all of South Maui based on all of the community input. And they're going to share with you tonight things that we should be paying attention to. Thank you.
Okay, yes, I'm Rob Weltman, and as John said, I've been on the board of KCA for a long time, 10 years, like that, 9-10 years, and I was also the chair of the South Maui, the Community Advisory, the Plan Advisory Committee for the South Maui Community Plan, and still am, because by charter, the 13 of us who are appointed to the committee are charged with that position until the plan is finally adopted. And as John said, it's been a long time since we had a new plan. 1998 was the last time. And of course, a lot of things have changed since then. So we're going to take turns here talking about the plan.
Aloha kako, neighbors, and friends. I'm Daniel Kanahale. I'm really here to listen to Rob Weltman. But he invited me to join him on our little panel here. So, my purpose here is to answer right now, what is the community plan? What is its purpose? Why is it important to us as a community? And rather than reinvent the wheel, I'm just going to go to the We Are South Maui online hub. Remember that, We Are South Maui. If you want to look up for yourself everything that we're going to talk about tonight, everything that's happening, has happened with the South Maui Community Plan, I highly recommend you go to that. Just Google We Are South Maui, it'll pop right up. And it's true, we are South Maui, we are a community. And as a community, we have a kuleana, a moral responsibility, an obligation to malama, or take care of the area we call home. So if you call your South Maui your home, if you sleep here, then you have a moral obligation to take care of this place. And part of the purpose of this plan is to do just that as community members, because it is our plan. It was formed and developed as a result of community input, going back at least 5 years. So I'm going to do some reading here, just excuse me. This is from the frequently asked questions on the We Are South Maui online hub. So what is the South Maui Community Plan and what is its purpose? Before I delve into that, let me first read what is on the screen, which is the vision statement of this plan. And the vision statement is like a guiding star. It's like Hokulea. Hokulea was a guiding star that helped lead Polynesians, Hawaiians to Hawaii. And this vision statement is our guiding star to help us achieve the preferred future that we would like to have. So this vision statement came about as a result of community input. So I'm just going to read it, and it's on here. You can read along or watch along with me. South Maui's beaches, coastal waters, and wetlands are restored and thriving. Wouldn't that be nice? With affordable housing close to good jobs and a variety of transportation options, including safe walking and biking paths lined with trees. The region's businesses, parks, and neighborhoods are connected, maintaining the small town lifestyle. Cultural resources are protected and celebrated, enhancing South Maui's sense of place. Well, I very much like that vision statement, and the Maui Planning Commission kept that as a vision statement, so hopefully it'll continue being the vision statement moving forward. So, what is the South Maui Community Plan and what is its purpose? The South Maui Community Plan is a community-specific land use plan that provides guidance on future development and preservation of South Maui over a 20-year period. With a focus on land use and development, the updated community plan will help bring to light the community's vision for the future of South Maui. The community plan will guide what future development within the community area should look like and provide recommendations for land use, how people move within and through the area, and infrastructure expansion and development. The planning department will develop the South Maui Community Plan map with community input. The community plan map will guide the types, and we'll talk about the plan map in this presentation. The community plan map will guide the types of development envisioned within each area and future zoning that will implement the uses. The community plan map will also guide how new development will look and feel, including the density of development and the general types of uses that are allowed, housing and business, etc. How will the county use the South Maui Community Plan? The county will use the South Maui Community Plan as a guide in developing annual and capital improvements program budgets, reviewing proposed development projects, updating or revising existing regulations and zoning, and establish new programs and initiatives impacting the South Maui Community Plan area. Thanks, you got that, Mary. Next question. Oops, I lost my place. How will the South Maui Community Plan affect me personally? The South Maui Community Plan will shape future growth and the character of future development within towns and neighborhoods. The plan will guide the development or revitalization of the areas where you live, work, shop, and play. The plan will also guide decisions on protection of critical environmental and cultural resources. This is an opportunity for residents to have their voices heard, to influence the future vision of their own community. And I think Rob will go into more of what the community plan update process, but why does it have to be updated? Well, as John said, the plans should be updated every year. We're behind. This is the old community plan. This is not the old one. It's still the enforceable community plan until the new one is adopted. But this one was adopted in 1998, and this is 2025. So it's been 27 years since we've had a new community plan.
Want to talk about these things too?
Oh, okay. So in our meetings, when people came to give public testimony, these are some of the things we most heard from them. Infrastructure, adequate infrastructure before or concurrent with development. That means adequate roads, sidewalks, water, resources, sewage, and schools. Homes for Maui residents, not for non-resident investors. We heard testimony that felt that we need to address stormwater runoff, flooding, ocean pollution. We needed to mitigate fire hazards. In fact, we were meeting as CPAC during the August 2023 fires. So that was a big issue and concern. Protect the health of the environment and protect cultural heritage. And what we didn't hear that folks wanted more expensive homes, dedicate more of South Maui to only the wealthy, happy with fire and flooding risk levels, and we have sufficient roads to handle current and future traffic. So we never received testimony like that.
I think you must have been missing that, Dave.
Did the developers say on that?
Okay, so the Community Plan Advisory Committee, based on public input, this is what we included in the plan. Infrastructure before or concurrent with development. Adequate roads, sidewalks, water, sewage systems, and schools. Homes for Maui residents, not for non-resident investors. We address stormwater runoff, flooding and ocean pollution, and mitigating fire hazards, protecting the health of the environment, and protecting our cultural heritage. So we did address those things as a CPAC when we met.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the formalities of what a community plan is in Maui. So we have, when they talk about the general plan sometimes means the collection of both the countywide policy plan and the island plans and the individual community plans. But sometimes people just mean the countywide policy plan. In general, I think they mean all three of those. So there's a countywide policy plan which is fairly short and thin and is intended to provide guidance for the things that everyone wants, all of Maui County. Each island obviously has its own plan. The countywide policy plan, by the way, was adopted in 2010. And then the Maui Island plan was adopted in 2012. That's the one that's currently in force. And then on top of that, each of the districts here, the 7 districts, adopts a community plan. And for us, of course, it's the South Maui Community Plan. This is what the process looks like, and this is taken from the We Are South Maui website that Daniel was talking about. The first step, the first 3 phases out of the 6 are under the control and operation of the planning department. First, they do research. They investigate things like population tendencies, water availability, economy, other things that might affect the plan. They put together a draft and go out and for community engagement. They organize a whole bunch of community meetings to get people's input. I went to a number of those, and probably many people in this room also did. Based on what they received, they put together a draft community plan. In our case, our plan just started right after the West Maui Community Plan, and it was very heavily influenced by that. You can see a lot of the things that are in the draft plan from the planning department for us that are the same as what came out of the West Maui Community Plan, which is very different from the 1998 plan that Daniel was talking about. They finished that work in August 2022, and then it was time for our work, the Community Plan Advisory Committee. So the Community Plan Advisory Committee consisted and consists of 13 people. Appointed by the county council. The county council agreed on 13 people and appointed us. And then within the CPAC, we decided who would be the chairperson and who would be the vice chair. And we started working in October 2022. According to the guidelines, it was supposed to finish in 6 months. We didn't. It took us a year. And that's for various reasons. One is that there were problems with organizing meetings, with quorum, especially during the summer. We actually went on strike for a while because we really wanted people to be able to use Zoom if they weren't able to actually physically attend the meeting, to participate, to watch, and to testify. And the planning department was resistant. But we went on strike, and after a few weeks, they were able to arrange that so we could have more full participation. You might wonder why. Why did we care about that? Well, one reason is because the people who most attended meetings in person were the paid lobbyists because they could afford to. That was their job. They were there out every single time. Other people might be hard to take time off from work, or they might have illnesses or other things that prevented them from getting there. We really wanted the entire South Maui community to be able to participate. So we finished in October 2023. As Daniel said, it was just after the fire, but we actually had really good stuff in the plan even before that, which addressed fire risks. So we didn't need to change anything based on that. And then the Maui Planning Commission started their work, and they're also supposed to take half a year, and it took longer. They got an extension as well. And they finished their work in March of this year and handed it off. And then the planning department then took what they did and to put it into a form which could be handed off to the county council. The county council was not willing to accept it immediately in that form. The county council wanted it first reviewed by corporation council. And it kind of makes sense, because why would you review something if there's a risk that you agree with, you adopt something and then it turns out that it's not enforceable because it conflicts with county law or state law. So at this point, they're still waiting for the corporation council to finish. And my guess is that that'll happen sometimes towards the end of this month or early next month, and they'll start work on that. And then the county council has 1 year to finish their work, and then to adopt the plan. So when it gets to the county council, it doesn't immediately go into the full council meetings, which are usually like on Fridays of every other week. It goes first to a committee, and currently it'll be going to the DRIP committee, which stands for Disaster Recovery, International Affairs, and Planning. The planning part is what's relevant to processing the community plan. And the head of that committee the chair of that committee is Tamara Paulton, the West Maui representative. And they have had a first meeting to discuss the process. And one of the things that Tamara suggested and everyone agreed to was that rather than doing a little bit now and then after 3 weeks a little bit more and then after 3 weeks a little bit more, so people have time to forget in between, to do more concentrated bursts, like to work very concentrated for 2 or 3 weeks and take a break and do other business and then move on to the next thing for 2 or 3 weeks. So it looks like that's what will be happening. Another thing that Tamara said at this first meeting was that Daniel and I would be welcome to participate as what they call resource persons. And we're very happy about that. What that means is that we're not limited to just providing testimony before the meetings. We'll actually be there for the whole meeting. So in case there's concern or confusion about why we adopted certain language or why we think it's important to change certain things, we can answer that directly, immediately. So we think that'll be very, very effective. So both Daniel and I are going to try to attend, one or both of us, all these meetings.
And I just want to, thank you, very nice. I just want to point out how big that is. So when the Maui Planning Commission did all of their months and months on reviewing and adjusting the plan, the people that created the plan were not what's called a resource. So they were not available to answer questions. and to give advice on why things were done a certain way. Meanwhile, at several of the meetings, there were developers asking for the changes and whatever, and they had their ear instead of having a more balanced input. So to be a resource as the county council reviews the plan, it's really big, and it should help us out a lot in being heard.
So the current community plan is, the 1998 plan is 60 pages long. The one that, the draft that we worked on and was forwarded to the Maui Planning Commission is 2,000 pages long. No, it's 180 pages long, but the planning department made sure there's a lot of big pictures in there and maps, so it's like easy reading. You can get through it in a couple hours. I think you could. This one you can get through in like half an hour. Anyway, what's in the plan? Well, it's broken down into 5 parts, like you see on the screen. You have a plan framework. So that kind of talks about what it is, what is the plan, what is its purpose, kind of what I shared with you, and how to amend it once it's adopted. And a description, a historical description, really nice one, of the planned area, which is the South Maui District. And then the vision statement, which I read to you. So that's what's in the plan framework. And then the policy framework are the goals that illuminate what we as a community are striving to achieve, the future that we're striving to achieve, along with policies. So that's a policy framework, and I think we show an example of a policy. So here's an example of a policy. So I'll just read 2.1.3, a simple one. Incorporate the principles of complete streets for all new roadways and roadway expansion and improvement projects. So that's an example of a policy. It sort of like directs government as to what they can do, what they might do. But with policies, you need more definitive plans, and those are called actions, but we'll get to that later. So part 3 is the growth framework. So the growth framework is a rationale for why they came up with this plan in the first place. It's based on population projections, new residents between now and 2045. So their projections are to be 3,000 to 6,000 new residents. Might have to update that periodically because in some places we're actually losing population. So, but anyway, that's the rationale for the plan. And this rationale formed the foundation for land use, is forming the foundation for land use and development decisions. So the growth framework incorporates 2 things. Community plan designations, there are like 15 of them, and community plan maps. So it's really, really important that you folks become really familiar with community plan designations. It means that it describes what kind of land uses you can use in an area. So maybe we can pull up that map we have as a... Okay, here is now our district is divided into 6 sub-areas. So this is the 3rd sub-area, so the middle one is South Maui, sub-area 3. And just to get you orientated, if you're looking to your left, that's the ocean. And if you're looking towards the right, that's you're looking Mauka, upcountry. So the green is ag land. Those are all ranch lands. The red is the R&T Park, Research and Technology Park. And the little blue area sitting on one of the foots of the R&T Park, that's Kulani Hakoi High School. So you notice all these areas are color coded, so they represent community plan designations. So the blue area is for public, quasi-public. The yellow, for example, is residential. Of course, the green is ag, and what else? The kind of pinkish area is small town center. So you should find out what your area is being designated in the community plan. Hopefully it's not industrial. If it is, please let us know so the county knows that we can correct that. But everything's color coded based on the community plan designations. So that means all of us have to be color coded too and wear the color of your area. So if you're in residential, wear yellow, and if you're in quasi-public, wear blue, right? Anyway.
Is this the current plan though, Daniel, or is this the one that the planning commission has now designated, or is this the one that's CPAC?
That was from the planning commissions.
So everything we're looking at is the new designation.
That's right.
I thought I saw a resort in there, that brown area.
If there's brown, that would be resort. I don't know. Is there a little brown in there somewhere? Oh, there is a. I don't see any brown. Oh yeah, there is a brown area down by Kalapalepo Park. Maybe that's Menehune Shores. I'm guessing by the fish pond. Resort. Okay. So that's the other two parts of this plan, the implementation and monitoring. So that includes the actions, specific actions that go along with the plan. So we'll look up maybe an example of an action. So here are the actions. So let's see the shortest one. Okay, 1.11. On South KCA Road, install continuous unobstructed sidewalks and protected bike lanes separated from traffic by an unpaved green stripe where feasible. So that's an action, right? And in this implementation part, it also comes along with what priority you give it, timing of the action being done, what agency is the lead agency, how much it will cost approximately, and the funding. So for that one I read, the priority is high, timing is ongoing, county agencies, Department of Public Works, and the cost is to be determined. It's always good to know the cost ahead of time, right? If you're gonna do something. And so forth. And then finally, the last section is appendices. Sometimes we have to have those removed due to health reasons, but in this case, it's in the plan, and it's just like put all kinds of important information in the appendices. So that's it for me, I think.
I just want to add a little bit there. So these are, of all those parts, these are the three things which I think are most important. Policies are important because the planning department consults with them before they make a decision. So policies are directed to the planning department and only to the planning department. It might say, for example, that that they shouldn't give a permit to a house unless it's set back a certain number of feet from the street, or that a certain area requires a park before additional permits are given. Maps, of course, are very, very important because you can only build or develop what's allowed within that particular land use. And actions are different from the policies and different from the maps because they each have a recipient. So an action is for the Department of Public Works, Department of Transportation, Planning Department, etc. Those are all important. As John said, when it went through the latest phase in the Planning Commission, we're not really happy with some of the, I would say that most of what we wanted is still there. I'd say maybe 95%. But there were some big changes made which we're not happy with. We're hoping maybe they can be rectified when it now goes to the County Council. And we're going to talk about each one of these things. Kihimauka is a very large area, Mauka of the high school. Pilani Promenade is what used to be called, and sometimes still is, the Mega Mall. The policy that Daniel referenced earlier about infrastructure prior to or concurrent with development, we'll talk about that. We wanted affordable housing to be built when and on the site of any large development in South Maui, not placed off to the side or placed outside of South Maui altogether. And we wanted to not have the risk that parcels that are in the inundation zone or that would be exposed to flooding with climate change would be open for development. Starting with the first of those. Kihimauka is, as I mentioned, a very large area, just Mauka of Ohukai and the high school, Pilani Promenade. 600 acres, and the plans are still very far from being finalized, but it could potentially be 1,500 homes altogether, a combination of rentals and perhaps condos and individual single-family homes. Now that area was reached by the fires of August 2 years ago. Came this far. And if the fire had gone on for another half an hour, in other words, if the winds had not turned at that point, I'm pretty sure they would have swamped that area. And that's something we feel is absolutely essential, that we can't allow people to live there under those conditions. Something has to be done. So one of the things that we wanted was a green buffer in between there, in between this is what we call Kihimauka and then the Mauka lands. We also wanted a road to be built that would connect this neighborhood with the Research and Technology Park to the south, and then with Veterans Highway to the north. Because if there is a fire here, we can't expect people to jam down Ohukai Road or the road next to the new road that will be built next to the Pilani Promenade and merge with all the other people who are trying to escape on Pilani Highway. That's not going to happen. That's a recipe for disaster. We're talking about potentially 1,500 homes here, maybe up to 5,000 people. So there has to be a way to get in and out that does not rely on Pilani Highway.
And Rob, if you'd leave that slide up for just a second. So this white line is a major point that we in South Maui need to advocate for. We're calling it the Kihei-Mauka Collector Road. It's not a very sexy name, but that's basically, it's going to take a whole bunch of traffic off of the Pilani. And if you aren't aware or have forgotten, there's about 7,000 homes that have been in various levels of permitting to be built in South Maui over the next 10 plus years. So the roads we have are not going to be adequate. So Rob's talking about fire safety. We need to have a place for people to get out. They need egress. We do need that. And we also need it so that as South Maui continues to grow, and it's going to continue to grow, right? We live in one of the best places in all of Hawaii. However you want to look at it, we live in a great place. And they're going to build more homes, and we're going to have more people living here. But what we need to go with it is another thoroughfare so that people can get in and out and around in South Maui. Thanks.
The greenway, the greenbelt, fills other purposes too. It'll slow down and absorb a lot of the stormwater runoff, which will both protect Kihimauka and also protect North Kihei, which is currently exposed. So we put in policies specifically into the community plan for this, the buffer, and also that the collector road must be there prior to occupancy of Kihimauka. In other words, it's fine if it doesn't have to be built prior to or at the same time. It's just before anyone moves in there, there has to be a way to get out. but both of those things were removed by the Planning Commission. We had put in language in the community plan about how the primary purpose for this housing should be for Maui residents, and that should not be available for non-residents. In other words, it can't be investor homes, second homes. It has to be homes for people who live here. But we also put in there language that it should be geared towards people, at least a large part of it should be geared towards people who don't have a lot of money, even who live on Maui. And that was removed. We feel that there needs to be at least some minimum level of affordable housing in that development. That was also removed.
So one of the other changes to Maui Planning Commission made was community plan designation for the Pi'ilani Promenade area. And a lot of people know it as the Mi'kmaq area. I tend not to like to use that because it's a misnomer. But it's vacant land in North Kihei, Malka Pi'ilani Highway. It's 88 acres. 75 of those acres are, I believe, still owned by a Texas developer named Seraphim. And the other 13 that's up in the northeast corner is owned by PRI, Pacific Resources. And so during our CPAC meetings, we had lots of people come in and testify in support of that area that's in red square to be designated as residential. People felt that we needed more housing in South Maui to accommodate the needs of our residents. So based on the testimony that we received, we voted 8-5, there are 13 members in the committee, 8-5, to have that designated residential. That's what the yellow is. And the green part is, I think it's open space. Those are gulches, the green sections. So 8-5. When it went up before the Planning Commission, they changed that. And they changed it to that kind of pink. Is that pink? Looks like pink. Which is small town center. Okay, the difference between residential and small town center is that residential designation is predominantly residential with, I'll read it, with some small scale commercial uses that serve the immediate neighborhood. That can be permitted for the neighborhood only. Now the other one, small town center, is a combination of commercial and residential, but it doesn't say how much commercial and how much residential. Is it 50-50 or is it 70-30? It's not really clearly defined, but there has to be some residential in there, and they can be commercial. And also the commercial uses can be for areas outside that neighborhood, not just for the neighborhood, but people can come from other neighborhoods to shop there or do business there. So our concern with that as a CPAC, when that was proposed as one of the uses, was traffic. Because this project area is right along Pi'ilani Highway, they will have to build an intersection there at Ka'unu'unu. And that intersection will have to be the egress and exit and entrance and exit for that area, one of that. So there's going to be traffic, but there'll be less traffic if it's residential and more traffic if it's commercial, especially if they have things there that would attract people from other neighborhoods. So we were concerned about traffic. That was one of the considerations. And because there is a need for housing, the other areas around it, the one that's sort of in purple on both sides of the Pi'ilani Promenade are economic centers, So those can be used for commercial uses. So there would be a lot of commercial land available near it. So our consideration was to provide more housing opportunities for our residents. Also, what was changed was the buffer zone. We recommended a 150-foot buffer zone, and the planning Maui Planning Commission changed it to 50. That's a buffer zone right along Pi'ilani Highway. So we wanted to have space for a separate biking and walking lane to accommodate, for example, students, because Kulani Hakoi High School, which is the blue area, is right next door. So rather than them walking on the street, maybe provide an area separate from the street, like we have on Veterans Mokulele Highway, for people to bike and walk, and also a vegetative area. The former owners of that property were the Rice family from Ka'unu'ulu Ranch, and when they that land was reclassified from ag to rural, Mrs. Rice's vision for that area along Pi'ilani Highway was to have a really nice buffer zone with a vegetative area with trees, so it would look pretty, you know, and it would soften whatever was going to be built there as far as an industrial park, if that was what was going to happen. So we supported that idea of a wider buffer zone along Pi'ilani Highway for safety reasons and for cosmetic reasons, and to preserve the view plane along Pi'ilani Highway.
So as Daniel mentioned, another key issue here has been infrastructure prior to or concurrent with development. The 1998 plan had this language that there should be no further development without infrastructure. And we adopted the exact same language in the community plan and the CPAC, but the Planning Commission removed it. And I just want to mention that when they discussed it, the motivation was, well, it wasn't respected anyway, so let's just get rid of it.
They didn't respect it.
So what is infrastructure? What are we talking about here? Things like mobility, being able to get in and out, you know, having sufficient roads, be able to use your bike and walk, even public transportation, having enough water, schools, sewer service, parks and playgrounds. These things need to be planned for and available, not just as an afterthought, which for Kihei, especially North Kihei, just has not happened. And this is not that radical. I looked around the web to see what other people are doing, what other municipalities and counties say. And this is very, very common. That say almost exactly the same thing, that you have to have infrastructure prior to or concurrent with development.
We're highlighting another change which was made by the Maui Planning Commission. These are two policies, 2.2.21 and 2.2.27, and what's crossed out is what was in the policy that we came up with, and what's in red is the new language. So the old language, I'll start with the old language, the CPAC language was, affordable housing obligations must be met within the boundaries of the community plan sub-area. Credits may not be used. And then it's been changed to encourage housing obligations be met within the boundaries of the community plan sub-area. So they use weaker language, encourage instead of affordable must. And let me go to the next one because I'm going to combine these two. The next one, our language is prohibit new transient units and require the development of high-end and luxury homes to provide their required workforce housing on site. So they changed that to discourage new transient units and require the development of high-end and luxury units to provide their required workforce housing within the project area. So what we were shooting for in our language was to have affordable and workforce housing being built within the project itself and not in another location. here in South Maui, most of the heavy lifting for affordable housing and workforce housing is occurring in North Kihei and South Kihei. For example, we have Kamalani, we have Ikaiko Ohana building the Ka Waihini units, and also affordable rentals in the R&T park above the golf course, right? And then we had Betzel Brothers build their affordable housing projects along Ohukai. And then now we have along PEKea, we have affordable housing being built along PEKea, Makai of Safeway and Maka of Longs. Yeah. And then we have more affordable housing occurring right next to Hope Chapel. So that's all happening. And there are other infill areas that have affordable housing, but there's no affordable housing that's been built in Wailea, in that sub-area. And no affordable housing being built in McKenna, and that's another sub-area. So we feel that all sub-areas should carry their fair share and build affordable and workforce housing in their projects to give people who work in McKenna and work in Wailea a place to live and also enjoy that area. Historically, all of Maui enjoy that area, and it shouldn't be gated off for the rich, for luxury homes. And so we also wanted to remove credits. Credits may not be used, because often developers buy credits or acquire credits by, financing projects in other areas, like for the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. They'll finance projects there, or they'll buy credits on auction, which the county allows sometimes on a one-to-one basis as a way to meet their affordable and workforce housing obligations elsewhere, but not within their project area. So this is what we were trying to do, right? Give people opportunity to live in places like Wailea. Why shouldn't we be able to live there? Why shouldn't we be able to live in McKenna, right? To open those places up. That was what we were trying to do, but they changed the language. So hopefully you can put that language back in.
I think this last one, yeah, this last one. So another important thing is that we're seeing climate change, and we see that every day. And in particular, we see that we have more and more frequent flooding in North Kihei and sea level rise. The combination of flooding and stormwater runoff and sea level rise means that more and more properties near the coast will be unusable. Now, it's a problem already for the ones that are already built, but why should we allow building on properties which are not built yet, which are identified as being in what's called the sea level rise exposure area, or SLREX as it's called here? Why should we allow those to be built? They'll just be a burden for the owners and builders for the county to take care of the people when they get flooded. So in the CPAC, we designated them all as open space, only ones which are not developed. But the Planning Commission changed it back to what the Planning Department's proposal, which was residential, small town center, etc. In other words, let them be developed.
So what can you do? Well, they say 90% of life is just showing up. You showed up. You're the 90%. Well, the 10%, whatever percent. But you're here now because you're interested, you care, you want to be informed. So that's a good start. You can help others too by sharing what you heard here today. And talk to your neighbors, family members. And I think it's important that we all own our community plan, make it our plan, not somebody else's plan, not somebody else's vision for what they think South Maui should be like 20 years from now. It should be our vision. Let's keep it our vision. That should be the goal. You can also educate yourself about the plan by going to remembering We Are South Maui. Google that. Check out that online hub about the community plan update. And then all the other suggestions here, you can follow developments at kokihei.org. It's a KCA site. Join the South Maui's Voice team. Maybe John will talk a little bit more about that, or how that works after we're done. Read up on the plans and the alternatives. Talk to your friends and neighbors. Okay, when the DRIP committee meetings start, working on the plan, you can think about written testimony. You can attend the meeting in person or remotely and testify. It's really important that when those meetings come up that you testify on what's on the agenda. Yeah, don't testify on things that aren't on the agenda because you didn't know what was on the agenda, and it might be irrelevant to their discussion, and then you just, pull a hole. You just wasted their time and your time because we're not going to really consider your testimony. But make sure you talk about what's on the agenda. The agenda will also be on We Are South Maui. The agenda for the DRIP meetings will be posted on South Maui, We Are South Maui too. So that's another resource. So thank you for the
Okay, now
opportunity.
hold on, we're gonna have a Q&A.
Oh.
So hang on. So by our experience, both the council and the committees, they don't have time to read all the written testimony before the meetings, and they very rarely. I mean, it can be reams and reams, especially coming from the developers. So in-person testimony is better. By in-person, I don't necessarily mean being in the room. It could be over online. But when you do deliver this online testimony, if you deliver something that they react to, they'll very often say, did you submit that in writing as well? Because if it is something that catches their attention, their interest, then they'll want to go back to it. So it's really good to do both. Submit your written testimony and then attend in person. We're going to do Q&A in just a second. I think we're just about done.
16 copies. You need to take 16 copies of
I don't think you need to, if you're doing it printed, you might have to, but if you're just submitting it electronically, it's enough to submit once.
Yeah, you can submit one copy and you ask them to send it to
Wrap
all,
up.
it's addressed all.
Are we good for Q&A? All right, so questions? All right, here you go.
Thanks so much for allowing me to question. It's more of a statement in that it's super kapakahi. We're going to have this planning, the South Maui Plan meeting start in September, but they're scheduled to approve the Wailea 670 in August. They postponed the January 25th second reading of Wailea 670 to August to an unknown date, tentatively for August 12th. But we have to always be vigilant to when that'll be, because it won't be posted till 7 days before the hearing, just like these South Maui meetings, will be posted just exactly a week before. So it's really important to, I appreciate when you put out the email to tell us when we find out when that date really is to testify at second reading.
She just made a great point. We often don't know until about a week beforehand, as they will change a meeting time or an agenda or whatever. So we try and get information out as soon as we can, and it's usually with only a few days left. Questions?
I think she got her hand up next now.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. Great presentation, and of course, the thing that strikes me the most is we make a plan, we write it down, what we need in South Maui, and the Planning Commission overrides everything. And they do not listen, they do not care. We do not want a roundabout, they put it in. We have no entrance or exit out of the high school except the Piomani, which is dangerous. So here we are, we submit our plan and the planning committee wipes it out. They've been doing that for years, every time. How do we get a change on the planning committee? How do we get different people on there that will listen to us? Because every single thing that we're talking about, they ask. Our wetlands on South Kihei Road. Hilton took over all that, it's complete cement. We had beautiful Maui Lu, which kept it green. I went over to the construction site on KCA and I said, you're keeping the 2 ponds there, right? Oh, no, that's gonna be covered over. And I'm going, wait a minute. We were told that's gonna be preserved, so I don't know who to believe, who to trust, that what they say is what they do. And how do we go about changing the planning commission people?
Get rid of them.
Go ahead,
We have to
answer.
make a
One of
change.
you answer that,
I
please.
think,
We have to change the planning committee.
yeah, so there was a vacancy for the South Maui representative, and we had proposed a very good candidate who was also a member of the Community Plan Advisory Committee, but the council rejected him.
Of course. Of course.
You gotta change the council.
Right, the basic answer is you have to change the council, and that
Yes.
is a whole thing, but,
It's gotta be done.
we all are needing to work on it. I think Kelly was next, and then we'll,
Thanks, and thanks for bringing that up, because I think one of the things that we have to look at too, the council just eliminated the South Maui Advisory Committee, is what I was told, and that was proposed by Tamara Paulton. Probably because the county is not using it, they're not using as it was intended, which is to refer all of these projects to the advisory committee in South Maui first. And they stopped doing that probably in Victorino's middle of his last term. So they haven't been making use of it, so they just did away with it. What we really need in South Maui is our own planning commission. You know, there shouldn't be one for the entire county with only one person from South Maui sitting on it who wasn't even there most of the time. If Lanai can have its own planning commission and they only have, what, 7 or 8,000 people, Molokai has its own planning commission and they have less than 20,000. We have 30,000 plus in South Maui. We should have our own planning commission just for our community.
And who approves that? Kelly?
Well, that's gonna take an amendment to our county charter amendment, so that has to go on the ballot and get voted on. But you know, what I wanted to say to you guys was, first of all, can we stop saying that 95% of the plan is still there, because the changes you just showed us are egregious. And that probably makes up at least 70% of the heart of the plan they have taken out. So let's not let them off the hook by saying, oh yeah, 95% is still in there. It's not. The vision that we have is a great vision. The things that they took out will not get us to that, we will not get to that vision. So how do we make it clear to the council, and that should be in our testimony, that the way that they have corrupted our plan will not get us to the vision that the plan starts out with. And the policies they took out, the requirements for infrastructure and things like that. So I think that's a really important piece to put out if you're sending out messages to potential testifiers. I think one of the things I also wanted to point out and get your opinion on is why they've never sent the council has never sent from the planning commission a copy of the any community plan to corporation council. So this is just another tactic for them to forestall. I mean, I almost thought that they were forestalling it till the next election's over, so they don't have to have their stamp on it when they go to the election. But the corporation council was a part of your meetings, the CPAC meetings. So if there's anything illegal that came out of there, they would have known it. They were there at the Maui Planning Commission meetings. They don't need to have another look at it before they go to the council. So I don't understand why that hasn't happened before. That's not a normal thing.
go ahead.
Corporation Council was at some of our meetings, but they weren't at the majority of our meetings, although we requested them. Sometimes they were listening online, we were told, so
Right.
we can ask questions, but they weren't at, would you say the majority of the meetings?
They were maybe at a fifth, 20% of the meetings.
Well, I mean, they were at most of the meetings I was at in the beginning, and then they quit coming. I think somebody left, whoever it was who had in the beginning, left the corporation council. But, you know, they're not very competent. The problem was they couldn't even tell you if something was legal or not, and so I don't know how that's gonna improve at this stage before it gets to the council. So I'm a little concerned about why they would send it to corporation council. I chaired the planning committee of the council when we did the Molokai plan. and we didn't use corporation counsel like that. And then I was in the meetings with the West Maui plan, we didn't use corporation counsel like that either. And then the last thing I wanted to say was, I'm all for advocating for the highway, the Malka Highway, but I don't want that to get in front of the North-South Collector Road, and we haven't even finished that. So if we haven't even finished the North-South Collector Road, do we really want them to stop that and start working on, you know, a highway? That's another excuse for them to continue on with their rampant development, because we don't seem to know what we want. That's I can just hear that in the planning department's mind. So that's, if you guys, have you thought about that in terms of if we start advocating for the highway, another highway, what's going to happen to? I mean, we were supposed to have finished North South Collector Road by now.
We just feel that we can't allow 1,500 homes, additional homes, without a way to get in and out of South Maui.
I agree. So let's not allow them at all. That's what our current plan says.
We did push the completion of the North-South Collector Road several times in our meetings. And that should be a high priority, and Mayor Bisson said that was his highest priority for South Maui when he came out and spoke to at a KCA meeting when he first was elected. He said that was his highest priority for this South Maui.
And wetland was number 2, and he hasn't done anything like either.
Okay, you know, these are complicated issues that come up, and there's a lot going on, and to talk about the North-South Collector Road and the KCA Malka Road and the other infrastructure we need. Anyway, there's just a lot to it, and we won't be able to get to it all tonight. Question for the, you have a question for the?
Hi, my name's Carol. I'm a research scientist. I'm a teacher. I noticed a couple things. There are no young people here. We need to start recruiting some of the young people. We need to hear their voice. And I will start bringing kids. I'll start making my students come, but here's the deal. As a research scientist, even if they don't think we need infrastructure, they're going to find out the hard way when our ocean is full of toxic algae and our reefs are dead, and they'll find that out. But my question is, are we, in all of this planning, mandating any wetland restoration and any native plants? If you were talking about that greenway, which is awesome, but what are you going to plant? Invasives or natives? How are we going to do that? We know for a fact that native plants are fire resistant. We know for a fact that restoring native forests do two things: retain water and cool off the land, thus also mitigating drought, and additionally are attract native birds and all sorts of other things. And I don't understand why we're I mean, those developers, with all due respect, they're pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. Small town, whatever, they're gonna make that into another mall. We need more native plants. We need to do that. So what is the plan for that? Is there a question about that? Has anybody discussed that?
Yeah, we actually did put quite a bit about that in the plan. There's about wetland protection, restoration, native plant restoration.
KCA is meeting with Tom Cook later this week on wetlands protection issues. There's a lot of people working on it. It's complicated, there's loopholes, there's all kinds of stuff, but it's a great point, right? We all want to protect our wetlands, they're important.
But it's in the plan, and it was not removed by the Planning Commission.
Now, excuse me, we are running out of time, and if you have a question for these two gentlemen on the South Maui Community Plan, that's good. If we get into other things, we're just going to be out of time. So, question for him?
Actually, I'm just going to take this opportunity to let people know of KCA that I've personally filed a complaint against Tom Cook with the Ethics Commission of the County of Maui. And it's going to be heard on August 13th. There's a new executive director who's an attorney, and Corporation Counsel is no longer giving advice legally to the board. And I've made a strong legal case as a lawyer in Hawaii for 46 years that he is not ethically allowed to both have two masters, one working for a construction company where he gets paid $96,000. And there's now a petition online that people can sign at mauiponoorg.net, mauipononetwork.org. And if people want to have any information about it, they can see me after this meeting.
Thank you. Who is next? I'm sorry. I'm gonna give it to you and then Gloria.
Okay, I wanted to know, is it true that the kids cannot go on the highway by the roundabout to go up to high school?
Correct.
Yes, it is. Did you guys all know that?
They can't go that.
So no kids should be riding a bike or going across the street to go up to their high school. How do they get to school if they have no transportation? The roundabout needs to disappear.
Yes, 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 put a
There-
traffic light there.
Just so you know, we talked with Angus McKelvey, and he said there is no money for the overpass right now. So that's a
He's down for great.
I noticed that in the plan, and I know it's controversial where a fire goes uphill, downhill, or wherever, but we are still a death trap in South Kihei. And I'm very close to Wailea, right by the fire department. And there needs to be upcountry access, both for regular traffic and for fire escape, if needed. If the fire's up there, obviously you wouldn't go that direction. But the fire's over here, that has to be part of some plan. We're just sitting ducks, and 10 years from now, they're all gonna say, oh, those people all ask about an upcountry road.
Thank you. We definitely want more egress from South Maui. All right, this is the second to the last person, and then we'll get one last
Hi,
person.
I do have a question. Someone was mentioning earlier that developers.
A little closer to your mouth.
Someone was mentioning earlier that the developers were showing up at the meetings regarding the community plan, but you guys weren't there. How is it that developers get to go to this and bring feedback to it? What's that about?
Well, they get paid, they're on the clock, and so they were at all our CPAC meetings too. They're representatives from landowners or developers, developing companies.
It's complicated. It's just, they're allowed to make presentations based on certain things, and then they can be used as a resource so that they're available at the meeting, and we get 3 minutes, and it's a bit complicated.
I think it's something that needs to be ironed out, because they're getting too much time, and
Yeah,
something's wrong with this. And
Yeah.
who do you go to, Mayor?
Yeah, so if you are frustrated by some of what you hear, this is what we're dealing with. This is what South Maui is dealing with, and you participating in meetings like this and some of the other things that other organizations are doing is going to, we're gonna make our voice heard as best we can for the positive changes that we wanna make, and we'll see what happens.
Well, I've seen 90% at least of the testimony about YLS 670 on the road.
Can't hear you.
People are against it, and still they're going, no, listening.
Right, so she just said Wailea 670, everyone gives their 3 minutes of testimony and says we don't want this, and then it gets approved anyway. Wailea 670 will take up another couple of meetings, and it's something we're engaging with and seeing what we can do with other organizations to slow it down and to get some common sense into what's happening. But it's a whole thing. We get into widening the Pialani and all kinds of stuff, and it just is a whole thing.
John,
Yes.
can you take this lady's question over here? She's had her hand up for a long time. By the table.
Okay. All right, last one.
First, I want to thank the two of you for all the time that you put into this. Really appreciate it. I wanted to say about the South Mountain County plan, I've read it through several times. And I've lived elsewhere and I've read their plans too. And I was really surprised that there was a lot of shoulds and maybes, and they weren't strong. And a plan should be able to be clearly defined and measurable so that you can go back and audit how the plan's doing. I didn't see this as a really good plan, personally. That's just my comment on the plan. Finally, at the end, I know you talked about the progression of growth over 10 years. And that's how I've seen plans done. They talk about over this, in these areas of, because there's 6 sub-areas, right? So I would see that there's going to be growth in sub-area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you project where the possibly building of the developments are going to be. But at the end, they named developers in the plan, which totally blew me away. Things change with the developers. They may not even be here in 10 years. And I truly believe developers should never be named in a community plan. You can name what you believe may be projected as far as the growth in that area, which may mimic that developer's plan, but never name a developer, and that's what I believe. Thank you.
You want me to answer that?
Sure, take mine.
So yeah, we tried to use strong language that had teeth in it. And there's 13 of us, and then we vote. And sometimes not everyone agreed on the stronger language for a particular policy or action. And sometimes we did. So wherever we could, I mean, in my opinion, I tried, and then Rob did, try to make stronger language, put stronger language into the plan. And there was something else you said I wanted to comment on now. I can't remember what that was.
Well, I appreciate all that you did, and have tried to make it happen, and we're come back and take it away, so thank you.
She's talking about the stronger language.
Stronger language.
Yeah, so I was addressing
The
the stronger.
developers named.
Oh, yeah, and then, I have to agree with that. I didn't think that should have been in the plan, and, but not everybody did. It's a democracy, right? You have 13 individuals, and they vote, and majority wins.
Oh, I know, there's Abe Lincoln and Washington.
Okay. All right, a big hand for Rob and Daniel. Thank you very much. Their work is not done, but we're all working on it now.
Is it possible to get Tamara, Tamara did a really good job of chairing the committee when they oversaw the West Maui committee plan, because she's from West Maui. And every day she came back with changes and, interjected what the people wanted. And if we could get some kind of an overview, of when she's going to go through each of these sub-areas, so that people that live in those sub-areas could know when to testify. I live in South Maui, or I live in North KCA, whatever, but I think she'll be more inclined to work with our community than some of the others on the council, so if we can get her to help maybe you guys get her to help
Okay,
you lay out a
I
plan.
got your suggestion, and I'll work with Rob on that. It's great. It's great. Because the more we know in advance.
Yes.
All right. So now we're heading towards 8 o'clock, and we'll be done at 8. However, we're going to have Kay Anderson come up and talk to you about another issue that is important to development and managing development for smart growth, and that has to do with water.
Aloha, everybody. I know it's getting late, and I started a nonprofit recently. It's called Wailea 808, and although I have learned a lot from KCA, Maui Tomorrow, many of the nonprofits here, We all work collaboratively together. We have similar visions. And one of mine, and many of the others, was the major water concerns in South Maui. And I truly believe that the residents of South Maui has expressed concerns that these big luxury homes that are planning to be developed will be in the community plan, are planning to be connected to the Maui aquifer in the future. And however, the USGS studies show that our aquifer has experienced and will experience greater loss of recharge while our shifting weather patterns are getting worse. And that's not going to change. It's going to continue on. If you saw the Department of Water report, they projected it over the next 3 years, and it's not improving. Several major South Maui developers are planning to use existing or private wells in the Maui aquifer. And they plan, if they can't get potable water from the Maui aquifer, they plan to use a technology called reverse osmosis. And some of you may not know what that is. Basically, it's a high-end water treatment facility that takes saline out of the water. And in order to do that, you have to use withdraw 3 times the amount of water out of the aquifer to get 1 gallon, let's say 3 gallons of water to get 1 gallon of potable water. That's a huge amount of withdrawal. And they're projecting 7,000 to 8,000 new homes. And it takes about 600 gallons per day for 1 home. So do the math and figure out how much water that's going to be coming out of the Maui aquifer. And our aquifer is already stressed to the max. They're commissioned on, excuse me, my throat is dry. The Commission on Water Resource Management is the state organization that actually sets what our Maui aquifer is able to supply. And they have established that we have 11 million gallons per day. It's called a sustainable yield. And what that means is we're able to withdraw 11 million gallons of water per day, but on top of it, it has to be refreshed. That means that there has to be a backfill of fresh water, and that comes from Haleakala. Unfortunately, we haven't been getting any rain, so we're not getting the refresh. And that's why our aquifer is really stressed. And we are contending that builders cannot withdraw from this aquifer. It will then be dangerous for all of you who are depending on the aquifer today to get water. I am asking you, I have written a letter, I'm asking you to email me, and I will send you a pre-written letter, and all you have to do is copy it into a new email, sign your name to it, and send it to this Commission of Water Resource Management. We need as many people as possible to send this letter to them, asking them to reevaluate the status of our Maui aquifer. This, the letter basically says.
No, that's okay, we don't have time.
Okay.
But Kay Anderson's email is there, and you can contact her. We're looking to get a study done on how much water is really gonna be available from the aquifer, right? So
Yes.
it's pretty key.
Can you put it on the KCA?
Yeah, can you put it on the website?
Put it on the KCA
I can't
website?
control KCA's website, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just need as many letters sent to this organization to have them reevaluate our aquifer, okay?
Thank you, Kay. All right, so we're gonna wrap up. And one of the things that I want to talk to you about that you can do, if you're not already part, is we have the South Maui Voice team. You can join the South Maui Voice team, whether you're a member of KCA or not. It's free to join. And what will happen is you will get 1 email a month, basically, that will say, here's the issue, here are the talking points, and here's who to get your talking points to. So it's an email or in testimony in front of a committee. So the South Maui Voice team, we've got over 100 people on it already, and we need everyone possible to join this as we start working with the county council and all the various people to try and get done what needs to get done for South Maui. Now, up in front, there is some little business cards that have a QR code. And all you do is do the QR code thing, and it will take you directly to the sign-up page. And if you aren't QR code savvy, then you can give us your name and number, and we'll do that. So those are up front. And you know, a lot of stuff comes up tonight as we're looking at what's going on. We don't quite have time to handle all these things, but we talk about them. We have plans for some of them. People are divided on some things. But we are working on a lot of this, and we appreciate your opinions, your perspectives, and together we're going to try and get done the best good that we can for our community. So thank you for coming out tonight, thank you for taking the time, and thank you for being part of a community trying to get things done. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
All right, let's get it.